Chapter 121 Leaving the Base. A few months passed and Shadow City had become a bustling hub for trading. Tens of thousands of people had gathered here for trading purposes. With its favorable environment, Shadow City expanded multiple times over. Maximus had even established individual workshops that were available for rent to various trialists. "Wow, it's so lively here," Sareb exclaimed as he returned from a hunt. "Hey, Sareb, how was the hunt?" Blaine, his buddy, inquired. "I was lucky today and managed to catch a Tier 4 monster," Sareb boasted, gesturing towards the tied-up corpse in his vehicle. "So fortunate. Tier 4 monsters are becoming rarer and rarer." "Yeah, who would have thought that we were hiding and running from Tier 3 monsters just a few months ago? And now, we don't even give them a second thought. And as for those Tier 4 monsters that were supposed to hunt us down at the 10-year mark? They've become dishes we fight over." Sareb sighed, reflecting on his experiences over the past few months. Originally, they had struggled to survive, but with Shadow City serving as a trading hub, these trialists had become united. Some among them had achieved technological breakthroughs and were selling their inventions. Unfortunately, they couldn't compete with Maximus's monopoly, as his creations were the most advanced and practical. Indeed, this guarantees that we'll be able to survive until at least the 30-year mark when Tier 5 monsters show up, Blaine remarked. "You're right. I wonder if we can make it to the 100-year mark this time." 5 years later. Maximus gazed at the petri dish, watching as his cells collided with the biological solution he had created. Soon, the collision succeeded and the cells grew stronger and stronger. But just before reaching their peak, they disintegrated as if nothing had happened. It's truly impossible," Maximus sighed. In the beginning, since the use of magic and soul power was banned, he had considered enhancing himself biologically. He had even acquired a wealth of knowledge from his system and mastered it using life points. Yet, after years of experimenting, there had been no results. As if this world was also preventing anything that could strengthen the trialists. "What a waste of time," Maximus muttered in frustration. Over these 5 years, not much had changed in Shadow City, except for the increase in population and technological advancements. With over 1 million people now residing here, Shadow City was no longer solely his domain. After all, Shadow City had been intended as a trading hub to bring all the trialists together. Once the inhabitants had gained sufficient strength, they naturally expanded the city to have their own territory. Maximus didn't bother about this. Anyway, his businesses remained the most popular. He was the only one willing to accept corpses, and energy crystals still belonged exclusively to him. The other trialists could only dream of replicating it. Even now, they can only create unstable and low-energy imitations of energy crystals. "Boss, how's your experiment going?" Andrew entered and inquired. "Failure. It seems that biological enhancement is also restricted." "What a shame," Andrew sighed in agreement. "Now, there's nothing else to be done here. Let's go out and find Tier 5 and above materials," Maximus decided. The only reason he had stayed here for 5 years was due to the availability of higher-tier materials. He already upgraded all his technologies to Tier 5 using the Tier 4 materials he obtained through trading. Now, Tier 4 materials are not much of use to him. "Hey, it really is time to leave here," Andrew also lamented. It had been quite comfortable here, with Maximus's support allowing him to experiment wildly with materials. However, he understood Maximus's concern. As an official student, Maximus faced magnified difficulty in the trials. At the 10-year mark, a Tier 5 monster would already be hunting him. By the 30-year mark, there would be a group of Tier 6 monsters on his tail. And finally, at the 100-year mark, Doomsday would arrive. Tier 6 monsters would mutate to Tier 7 and relentlessly pursue Maximus to the ends of the world. Maximus needed to acquire as many Tier 6 materials as possible. "Wanderer, gather all the useful technology and materials and transport them to the RV. We're leaving." "Wanderer, understood, host." Soon, various types of robots working in Shadow City stopped their movements as if frozen. "Retreat, collection task initiated." The robots swiftly disabled what was in front of them, collapsing like a stack of building blocks. Onlookers were shocked by the scene. "What's happening here? Is danger approaching?" Panic spread as people hurriedly checked their scanners one by one to see if there was any danger. "Nothing?" Reassured by the lack of apparent danger, they began to calm down. "But why are these robots packing up?" Seeing the robots dismantle the place, not even leaving a screw, they were puzzled. Even in the various farms, all the seedlings and soil were compacted. In the river, a group of robots was sucking up water as if there was no tomorrow. "Hello, citizens of Shadow City." Suddenly, a screen that hadn't yet been dismantled lit up. You must be wondering why the robots are beginning to pack up. Do not panic. I simply wish to leave this place. There is no danger or any imminent threat. It's just that I no longer see value in this place. After all, we are not here for a vacation, but for survival. Sitting here is akin to waiting for death. Thus, I would also like to take this opportunity to recruit people who would like to join us. For those who wish to join, you can apply via Wanderer. That's it. Goodbye. The screen turned off, signaling the end of Maximus's message. During these 5 years, no other trialists had joined his team besides Andrew. Perhaps because they can just trade, they didn't bother joining him. Now Maximus took this time to see if anyone is willing to join. Regarding coercion, Maximus had learned from his experience with Andrew that such tactics wouldn't work. They're leaving? What about the source of energy crystals? Who will manage Shadow City then? Hey, I was still saving money to buy those Tier 4 robotic armors. Various reactions rippled through the crowd. Some were saddened by the realization that they wouldn't be able to purchase Maximus's advanced, affordable, and practical technology. Others breathed a sigh of relief as they now saw an opportunity to fulfill their ambition of controlling Shadow City. Some hesitated, contemplating whether to join Maximus or not. After all, this peaceful place had been single-handedly built by Maximus. Sareb looked at the announcement and began to ponder. Should I join? The past 5 years had been so comfortable that he sometimes forgot this was even a trial. What do you think, Blaine? Over these 5 years, they had become the best of friends. I think we should join, Blaine replied. He was a seasoned repeater of the Golden Gate trial. For the first time, he found the trial surprisingly easy. Unlike his previous trials, where it was either a constant struggle for survival or a desperate flight from danger. The most significant danger of the Golden Gate trial was the constant pressure. Always running, always fleeing from death, it left no time for thinking or creating. Yet, in Shadow City, they had the freedom to create whatever they wanted at their leisure. Do you think so? Sareb asked. Joining Maximus seemed to have no downsides. Aside from listening to him, they could still maintain their personal freedoms. They had also heard about Andrew, Maximus's only current member. He lived his life freely, doing whatever he pleased, which made him a bit envious. Yes. Then let's go. We might be late. Sareb and Blaine joined the queue to sign up. Yes, Q. In a city with over 1 million people, there were many who also wished to join. After all, with Maximus gone, no one knew what would become of Shadow City. They might have to return to their former vagrant lives. Inside the RV's core, which had now transformed into a Tier 5 mechanical beast, Maximus sat lazily, observing the bustling activity of Shadow City. How many people have registered, Wanderer? Wanderer, there are already 1,248 people officially registered, and over 3,000 more are in the process. Oh? That many? Maximus smiled contentedly. Are you sure you want to accept them all, boss? Andrew asked from the side. There are already too few. If possible, I'd like all of them to join. But isn't that risky? Although oaths are binding, they aren't foolproof, Andrew expressed his concern. Hey, it's all right. At this stage, no one can kill me except those Tier 6 monsters, Maximus replied with a mysterious smile. On the other side of the world, Silas was enjoying a sunbath, a stark contrast to his previous state. This is comfortable, Silas smiled, basking in the warmth of the sun. After countless days without sleep and enough time to eat, he had finally managed to create a Tier 4 weapon that could effectively fend off the Tier 4 monsters that had been hunting him. With those threats no longer hanging over him, he finally had the time to develop and even relax. Cheers to you, Maximus. I hope you're still alive. Chapter 122 Shadowhunters Guild. After a while, more than 4,000 people registered and joined Maximus's group. Wanderer, please proceed to the lobby for an introduction. Let's go, Blaine, Sareb urged his friend. As they walked, they witnessed various robots dismantling buildings, meticulously choosing valuable materials and disregarding the rest. Soon, they arrived at a colossal monster standing about 100 meters tall. While not towering compared to other buildings, the sheer sight of it left them stunned.
Blaine, do you see what I'm seeing?
It must be a mechanical vehicle. This was the collective thought echoing through most of their minds. The immense creature before them was undoubtedly a massive mechanical vehicle, with dimensions of 100 meters in height and 300 meters in length. It resembled a building from a distance.
Yet such a thing can move?
How is our transportation vehicle? Maximus couldn't help but feel proud as he observed their bewildered expressions.
It's Maximus,
the leader of Shadow City.
It's the tech genius.
Murmurs and whispers swept through the crowd below as they finally laid eyes on the real Maximus. Until now, they had only seen him through virtual images and heard tales of his achievements. "Welcome to our team," Maximus greeted them.
"Leader."
The assembled people erupted in cheers. After witnessing the mechanical vehicle in front of them, they were already convinced. Furthermore, based on their sight, they saw something incredible. The whole mechanical vehicle seems to exclude Tier 5 coercion. I called upon you to join me not solely for this trial, but to become members of my upcoming guild. Of course, whether or not you choose to join my guild after this trial is entirely up to you. The crowd below was left dumbfounded. So, Maximus had come to them intending to entice them to join his guild. However, reflecting on it, they found it more than acceptable. Having witnessed Maximus's talent firsthand, they were fully convinced and ready to follow such an exceptional individual.
"We will follow you, leader."
Excellent.
By the way, I nearly forgot.
Before we proceed, you must make an oath of allegiance, promising never to betray each other during this trial. The people below understood and willingly took the oath with no complaints arising.
Now, with great pleasure, I officially welcome all of you to the Shadowhunters Guild.
Leader, please take some time to rest now. We will depart from this location shortly. Maximus offered his advice as he exited the room. Hey Sareb, do we really plan to join the guild after this trial?
Blaine asked. Of course, why not? We're already here, so why not go all the way?
Sareb asked. After all, the Shadowhunters Guild is a newly formed guild, Blaine said. Actually, it hasn't even been officially established yet. But do we truly have a future in a guild like this? Blaine couldn't help but express his concerns. Perhaps his experiences had made him more pragmatic. Then let's make that decision after we've followed the leader. If we manage to pass this trial, or at least come close to it, then it's worth following a leader of his caliber, Sareb said after a moment of contemplation.
You're right.
Others were also engaged in their own inner debates, deferring their decisions until after the trial was concluded. As for what they had proclaimed earlier, it was mostly for show.
By the way, where are our accommodations?
Sareb finally inquired. Considering that robots were dismantling the area, they wondered where they would be able to rest. It should be in that, Blaine pointed toward the colossal mechanical vehicle. Perhaps. Once they arrived at what seemed to be the entrance, a screen lit up. In it was Wanderer, the familiar icon who mostly managed the Shadow City. Wanderer, before entering, please retrieve the mechanical watch from the side. Wanderer instructed as a compartment extended.
What's this?
It's an identity watch that also grants access to all the facilities within the vehicle.
Is that so?
The people didn't suspect anything sinister and obediently put on their watches, excitedly proceeding inside. Maximus had refrained from embedding any explosive devices or any form of malicious intent in the watches. He understood that such measures would be unnecessary. After all, he needed a functioning subordinate, not some puppet. Entering the vehicle felt like stepping into another world. Hey, this looks like Blue NV iron, a Tier 4 material, Sareb exclaimed as he tapped the wall. But how strange, it has the hardness and density of a Tier 5 material. That's likely the leader's method, Blaine nodded in agreement. As they walk, they look obsessively at the various part of the mechanical vehicle wishing to study it, here and now. Eventually, they reached their assigned room, guided by Wanderer's instructions. Sareb let out a contented sigh as he sank into the soft bed. Alone in the room, his mind began to wander. He glanced at the identity watch, curious about its functions. Wanderer said it can access the facilities here. Sareb manipulated the watch, prompting a virtual image to display the entire blueprint of the mechanical vehicle.
Amazing.
Huh?
There's even a workshop.
Moreover, it's more advanced, Sareb muttered, noticing one of the facilities. I should check that out later. There's also a garden? The leader is quite extravagant, creating a garden within a room made of Tier 5 material. But it's a good idea, I can go there to relax sometimes. Laboratory. Material synthesizer. Dining room. Sareb familiarized himself with the layout of the mechanical vehicle. Finally, he arrived at the last section. Shadowhunter Guild's Guide? What's this? Curious, Sareb clicked on the link. Vision. Missions. Exchange area. Sareb read through the vision, which outlined the overarching goal of the Shadowhunters Guild. That is to establish dominance within the chaotic sea, transforming it into their hunting ground. It's quite ambitious but also risky. Sareb sighed. The guide also detailed various short-term goals, such as passing the Golden Gate trial, constructing a world-class warship, a Tier 9 warship. Regarding the missions, there was an array of tasks to choose from to earn points. So many missions, but how are the points distributed? Sareb mumbled. He taps on the exchange area to assess the worth of the points earned. Low-grade magic crystal equals 1 point. Tier 4 Gunslayer equals 67,000 points. Tier 4 Bionic Armor equals 94,000 points. Tier 5 Railgun equals 700,000 points. Tier 5 Bionic Armor equals 900,000 points. So points are equivalent to low-grade crystals, Sareb nodded. What? You can even purchase Tier 5 weapons and armor? Sareb was astonished by the revelation. Especially in the case of the bionic armor, it's equal to additional life. Buy. Definitely buy. Noticing he had 0 points, he rushed to the mission section to identify tasks that could help him accumulate points. Tier 1 Corpse equals 1 point. Tier 2 Corpse equals 100 points. Tier 3 Corpse equals 1,000 points. Tier 4 Corpse equals 10,000 points. Tier 5 Corpse equals 100,000 points. Upgrade Robot equals 10 to 10 million points. That's it? Sareb chose the task of upgrading robots. Given his proficiency in constructing and designing robots, he could accumulate points more rapidly through this path. Although he was eager to start immediately, the ongoing packing process was a hindrance. Unable to do the task, Sareb eventually drifted off to sleep. In the monitoring room, Maximus observed the new members with their varied expressions. With enough members, this trial should be easier, Maximus murmured. Wanderer, how is the collection task progressing? Wanderer, there are still 18 hours and 15 minutes remaining before completing the collection task. That's fast enough, Maximus nodded in satisfaction. You know, Maximus nearly packed his whole base. Fortunately, he had exchanged some Tier 4 void stone material earlier. With it, he created a void space capable of holding a huge amount of materials. Unfortunately, it wasn't stable enough for humans to enter. By the way, how did the people in Shadow City react? Wanderer, some were celebrating and some were leaving. Ha ha ha, those celebrating must be the ambitious ones. Without me at the top, they can become small leaders themselves. Those who are leaving are smart, avoiding the upcoming conflict. While he was lost in his thoughts, Andrew barged into the room. Boss, I finished your task. Andrew said excitedly. Oh, you finally finished it? I thought I still need to intervene. Of course not, boss. You can always trust this little Andrew, Andrew boasted, presenting Maximus with a scanner. This scanner was different from the biological scanner used to locate monsters. Nor was it a general scanning device. It was a material scanner capable of locating materials from all over the place. Under Maximus's guidance, Andrew had created this remarkable device that would be a game-changer in the Golden Gate trial. With this device, they wouldn't need to wander aimlessly but could pinpoint specific materials immediately. Let's see. Maximus murmured as he operated the device. Beep asterisk. Beep asterisk. Soon, a black and white map appeared, covered in a multitude of red dots. It's working, Andrew muttered excitedly beside him. Filter for Tier 5 materials. Soon, almost all the dots disappeared, highlighting the scarcity of Tier 5 materials. Good, now that we have this, our development will accelerate. Chapter 123 Great Progress. Looking at the scanner, he couldn't help but feel excited. It's not only about the usefulness of the technology, but also that he confirmed that he can use external things to enhance the system's function. A normal scanner can only scan surface-level things that are on the ground or a few meters deep. But with the system, regardless of all the obstacles, it can be scanned. This signifies that there is another trump card when he fully begins exploring the chaotic sea. Now, I only need to finish this trial. A day later, all the things were packed up. The once magnificent building created by Maximus was packed in the void space, making the street seem to just disappear. Wanderer, tell them that we are leaving in 10 minutes. Wanderer, as ordered. Wanderer, all passengers do know that we will depart in 10 minutes. 10 minutes later. The blockage that was blocking the mechanical vehicle was taken out, presenting it to the world.
What is that?
Fuck, my warning device is ringing like crazy. Could it be the leader of Shadow City will destroy us for not joining him? For a whole day, people were curious as to what Maximus was doing. Seeing the city torn apart one by one, they could only be amazed by the efficiency of the robot. But seeing a huge mechanical monster, they couldn't help but be nervous. Soon the mechanical vehicle began to hover. It can float? Amazing if I can also have this. Although they were still nervous, they couldn't hide their amazement at such a mechanical creation. Looking at the commotion below, Maximus just smiled.
Go.
Find the first Tier 5 material, Maximus ordered Wanderer. Wanderer, as ordered. Wanderer connected to the material scanning 1,000-meter radius. Soon the mechanical vehicle accelerated, leaving dust coupled with the amazement of the crowd. A few months later, Wanderer finally found a large load of Tier 5 materials after traveling across the entire continent. Is this the only land where there are Tier 5 materials? Maximus noted. After months of traveling, Wanderer had traversed the entire continent he was in. But compared to the size of this world, this should only be considered a slightly bigger country. Wanderer, this is the only Tier 5 material mine found. Should we include those scrap materials? No, it's too bothersome. Just finish this and go to another place. During these months, Wanderer also found many scrap Tier 5 materials that were used previously. But since it's too bothersome to collect small things all over again, he didn't bother. As for the monsters, with scanners and without the deliberate target, those Tier 5 monsters and above didn't find them. As for the more than 4,000 partial members of the Shadowhunters Guild, they started to work and earn points with the information database that he transferred using the system. They quickly adapted to the unique materials of this world, making significant progress. Although it seems that not much has changed in the mechanical vehicle, its functionality has improved significantly. After all, Maximus is just one person, he can only focus on defense and attack. Other tasks are scarcely done, just enough for basic use. Soon the mechanical vehicle landed as various upgraded robots came to the mines. Seeing the Tier 5 materials coming and going, he couldn't help but be excited. With this, I can overhaul my whole arsenal to Tier 6, Maximus smiled wildly. The people on the mechanical vehicle also disembarked, noticing that it had landed.
Finally out. Huff some fresh air.
It's too suffocating living inside. Although living in the mechanical vehicle is comfortable, it's still different outside. Ha ha ha, finally I can try my new weapon. A man laughed proudly, equipped with dazzling gear. Shoo, did you buy that thing? How could you possibly have enough points? Hey, you're too ignorant. I, the genius member of the Shadowhunter Guild, modified the heating and cooling system of the mechanical vehicle. Damn, you're the one who had the quick hands that stole the mission first. Hey, who told me to have quick hands? You should practice in your spare time. What are you arguing about? Seared walked out clad in the most expensive bionic armor and a dazzling weapon. Damn, it's the boss, the rich man. Sareb had become a famous mission madman, upgrading robots day and night. The others followed suit, but because they weren't that proficient, they didn't earn many points. Humph, peasants. Let this gentleman test his weapon first. While they were having fun testing their weapons and hunting monsters for points, Maximus was outside relaxing. This food is not bad. I should add a mission to improve food. Oh, I should also add a mission to make massage chairs. Maximus was thinking of what missions to add to make his life more comfortable in this wasteland world. This was one of his coping mechanisms when he thought of his wives and children. Sigh, I wonder what they are doing. In the Library of Arcana, Maximus's wives are reading to supplement their knowledge. Suddenly a man comes up to them. Hey, beauties, how about I treat you to something? TSK, another bug, Isabella clicked her tongue. Hey, so annoying, a Rose muttered. Calm down, beauties. I came with no intention of harm. Oh look, the bug talks. Rose taunted. Ladies, please don't call me that anymore, he said, warning them with a dark face. How rare, even the Library of Arcana has bugs in them. You what? The man didn't bother further and left. Ha ha ha, just look at his face. Good, I managed to make one leave. Rose clapped as if she had achieved victory. They didn't know when, but they became quite a talk in the Institute. Usually, a beauty of their level is almost everywhere in the Institute. So there should not be much commotion. However, their progress in the Celestial Ascent trial is phenomenal, to the point that they made old students look autistic. If it's one or two it's alright, but a bunch of them grouped together. No wonder, there are a lot of men and even women attracted to either their beauty or talent. Their goal is mostly to solicit them to their guild. It's getting annoying these days. I wonder how husband is doing, Olivia sighed. In Lumina Crystallis classroom. Hey, Max, heard that your father is on a trial? Ella asked. Yes, how do you know? My sister told me. We watched your father, he is doing great. Ella said, thinking of how cool Maximus's father is. What? You can watch my father's trial? Max was shocked. Originally, they were going to cheer on Maximus and watch his trial. But since it's a Golden Gate trial, you can't watch it even if you have money. You need some authorization comparable to a special student to be able to view it. Of course, you must know how awesome my sister is. So you can watch it? Max still didn't believe it. His brother and sister also came near, hoping to hear some news about their father. It's been more than a week since they last heard from their father. Yes. Can we watch it? Liam chimed in. I don't know. After all, it's her sister's, she just watched from the side. Oh, sigh, Max and the others sighed. Then can you tell us about our father? Sure. In the mechanical Golden Gate trial. A week later, Wanderer emptied the Tier 5 mine. Hey, it really took a long time to mine a Tier 5 vein, Andrew sighed. Now we can start working, Maximus said. Wanderer, input the missions I compiled earlier. Wanderer, as ordered, host. It's time to put the Shadow Hunters Guild members to work, he murmured. More than a year later, the mechanical vehicle upgrades were complete. It's finally done. Hooray, I won't work anymore. Finally, I can rest. Damn freedom. A bunch of members howled in excitement, looking at the domineering mechanical vehicle. After a week of free time, Maximus began to assign mandatory missions. This was the start of hell. They needed to work at least 18 hours a day, 125 hours a week. They were more tired than dogs. It's not that they couldn't leave, after all, the oath only said to never betray Maximus in the trial. It's that they were assisting a master at work. Maximus's crazy operation of turning decay into magic was a huge inspiration for them. This is a rare opportunity that they may never see in life, so how can they just quit? Anyway, all of them were suffering, so it's fair. Ahem. Maximus coughed, looking at the people kneeling and celebrating in various postures. Is it that hard? Maximus asked with a smile. Leader, it's fucking hard. Ha ha ha, after all, it's for our survival. Maximus smiled. Although he could slow down the pace, he didn't. This is also a form of tempering. Leader, what do we do now? Of course, we work more. What? Chapter 124 Upgraded Trial. What? Working again? Oh no, freedom is lost. Looking at their funny expressions, Maximus couldn't help but smile. What? Are you tired? Yes, leader. Although embarrassed, they still expressed what was in their hearts. Then let's rest for a while and find more Tier 5 materials. Yes. I love vacation. I am going to sleep 12 hours a day from now on. I will eat and sleep until I'm fat. Maximus hurriedly packed up as they made their way toward the newly upgraded mechanical vehicle. Besides getting bigger, there hasn't been much change, even the weapon is still Tier 5. After all, there aren't many Tier 5 materials here, and there isn't enough time. Wanderer, let's go to another continent. There isn't much to find here. Wanderer, as ordered, host. In the monitoring room, the supervisor overseeing the mechanical Golden Gate trial noticed Maximus and the group.
Dean, look at this.
They are already able to create Tier 6 items, the supervisor said, shocked.
So soon?
The other supervisor was also taken aback. What a group of monsters. Hey, it's just a lucky brat who happened to study this trial world's unique material. Luck is also part of strength, Fionn, who had just come in, said.
Dean.
This means thousands of people will pass this year's trial. This is unprecedented. The others also discussed. After all, in 1,000 years, it's rare for even one person to pass. Yet this year, thousands of people might pass. Just upgrade the trial, Fionn said after thinking. After they pass, all of them will receive special student status. And that leader, Maximus, will get the core student status.
Core student status?
This time the supervisors were truly shocked. This kind of status isn't simple. This status is higher than theirs, only slightly lower than the dean's status. Typically, you can only achieve this status after reaching Tier 7 and passing a certain trial. Let's see if his luck can still carry him through the trial.
Fionn thought.
A few days later, the mechanical vehicle arrived at the sea.
The sea, huh?
Wanderer, scan what is under the sea.
Scanning.
Wanderer, XXX Tier 6 monsters, XXX Tier 5 monsters, XXX Tier 5 materials. The sea is really filled with treasure and danger. Maximus could only sigh. He thought about mining in the sea, but upon seeing such a dense group of monsters, he shelved that idea. It's not worth it, they can mine on land anyway. But why aren't there any Tier 6 materials? Wanderer, go to another continent and check for any Tier 6 material mines. Wanderer, as ordered, host. A few months later. Why is there still no Tier 6 materials? Maximus muttered gloomily. Previously, he could still scan small amounts of it. But now, he can't even find a particle-sized speck of Tier 6 material. He thought the sea was just peculiar, but after coming to another continent, there's still nothing. He even delayed the mining to find any trace of Tier 6 material, but he still found nothing.
How am I supposed to pass this?
Maximus shouted inwardly. What's wrong, boss? You still can't find Tier 6 material?
What do you think?
Is there really nothing? Andrew asked, thinking that Maximus was joking.
It's over.
Andrew muttered. A few months earlier, Andrew had thought Maximus was joking when he said there was no Tier 6 material. After all, this is a world full of Tier 6 monsters, it should be available. But now, it seems that Tier 6 materials have simply vanished. As for the materials from the corpses, that is useless as they would turn ordinary when killed. But boss, since you can create Tier 6 materials, it should be alright, right? I hope so, but based on Wanderer's scanning, there are signs of mutation in the Tier 6 monsters, Maximus sighed. He was truly targeted by this world.
It's okay, boss.
We can try again in 10 years, Andrew comforted. Andrew had already come to terms with the fact that they might not pass this trial.
No, it's not over yet.
Maximus murmured.
What do you mean it's not over yet?
Andrew was puzzled. Since there aren't any Tier 7 monsters here yet then.
And then?
We can just eliminate all the monsters here before they evolve, Maximus smiled confidently. Though it sounds crazy, it's feasible.
Is that possible?
You won't know until you try. Wanderer, explain our predicament to the others. I'll meet them in the lobby. Wanderer, as ordered, host. In the lobby? Various people had downcast expressions. They believed they would surely pass this trial, but now it seemed their advancement was cut short just as it began. But they weren't in despair, not with Maximus as their leader. Even if they couldn't pass this year's trial, they were certain they could do it the next time. You all seem quite disheartened.
No, leader.
No need to deny it. It seems we're losing hope, but I assure you we're not. Our odds are still high. After all, our enemy is nothing less than the whole world, Maximus teased. The whole world? Is the leader still sane? Hey, maybe the leader is delirious. The people below muttered to themselves. Is it difficult? But it's our only chance. Maximus smiled. We either destroy the whole world or we perish. Maximus had even considered escaping from this world. But once Tier 7 monsters emerged, distance would be meaningless. His only chance was to reduce this world to dust and then escape. Is this really possible? Maybe with the leader. Yes, they can just destroy the world. With Maximus' capabilities and with their help, their chance is huge. What do you think? Are you with me? Yes, leader. We'll stand with you until the world's end? Good, because you'll need that determination to work, Maximus smiled, already envisioning them begging and laboring in vain. They also had a premonition that hell is about to descend again. 2 years later, the 10-year mark had arrived. The group had undergone an earth-shaking transformation. Now, they resembled a species of panda without fur. See, can you still do it? Blaine nearly staggered as he asked Sareb. Yes, I'm very energetic. Sareb said cheerfully. What a beast. Blaine admired Sareb's tenacious will. Over these 2 years, they had been working non-stop, sometimes even for 20 hours a day. To prevent them from dying, Maximus created a solution to keep his members biologically healthy. As for their psychological state, that was something they had to conquer on their own. Roar. Roar. What is it? Blaine muttered as he manipulated his watch to understand the situation. A beast tide? It should be because it's the 10-year mark. Sareb said. 10 years have passed, huh? I thought we were working here for eternity. Blaine said wearily. Let's go fight a warm-up, Sareb cheered. Killing some monsters had become a hobby that helped them retain their sanity. After all, armed with Tier 6 weapons, they were practically invincible in this world. If it weren't for the monsters evolving to Tier 7, they might even have treated this trial as a vacation. Let's go, I need to release some of my fatigue, Blaine sighed. Soon, a group of people put down their tasks and became crazed fighters on the battlefield. They even laid aside their energy weapons, opting for bionic armor, controlling it to butcher the monsters. Above the mechanical vehicle, Maximus watched as they went wild. It's still not enough. Based on their progress, they couldn't create a bomb capable of destroying the world before Tier 7 creatures appeared. Should I recruit more? Maximus sighed. Wanderer, initiate the recruitment quota. Wanderer, as ordered, host. During this time, the transceiver had been upgraded to cover about half of the world. Thus, this recruitment could reach millions of people at once. In another part of the world, Siler received Maximus's recruitment message. What's this? Recruitment? How audacious. Do they not realize that forming groups can escalate the difficulty of this trial? Silas muttered. Then it dawned on him. He hadn't come across Tier 6 materials recently. Could it be? Silas's expression grew dark. He cursed whoever initiated this grouping using every word he could think of. Damn! This bastard will make me fail this trial. With a grim expression, Siler continued to read the recruitment notice to figure out who was behind this foolishness. Maximus? How could it be him? Silas couldn't believe that Maximus was the one responsible, so he kept reading the article. A few minutes later. So, it is him? Silas sighed. He wasn't sure if he should be angry or impressed with Maximus. He was angry due to the upgraded trial. But he was also impressed that Maximus had managed to influence the trial to the point that it would upgrade. After all, even if you formed groups, without a significant threat, it would be meaningless. Should I join too? Silas mused. With Maximus and my assistance, there might be some chance of passing this trial. Chapter 125 10 years left. A few months later. Is this Maximus' base? Silas muttered, looking at the place bustling with activity. However, instead of people, there are various robots doing the job. Suddenly, a drone hovered above. Human detected. Warning, please state your purpose. Huh? Such a powerful warning device, Silas thought. You know, he is in a Tier 5 vehicle and he has all kinds of isolation, yet he was still spotted from far away. I'm here due to the recruitment of your base. Please provide your recruitment code. 09843-14872-3489108. Scanning. Scanning complete. Welcome to the Shadowhunters Guild. The drone flew up and continued patrolling. Silas manipulated his vehicle to come to the core of the base. After a while, he was welcomed by Andrew. Welcome to our guild. Where are the others? They are working, Andrew was embarrassed to say more. Silas was the first to come here. Andrew didn't want Silas to leave after knowing the working conditions of the others.
Then where is your leader?
He is also working.
Do you need something? I'm his friend.
I want to talk to Maximus.
Friend? Are you sure? Just tell him my name is Silas.
All right, you wait in the lobby. I will tell the boss about you. While Andrew was away, Silas began to look around. He scanned various factory buildings, pieces coming in and out, and the materials being used. Silas roughly knew that Maximus was trying to build a massive bomb. A bomb? This is also fine. Silas couldn't help but nod at Maximus' ingenuity. But to make such a bomb, you need a massive amount of manpower and material. Silas scanned around, thinking about all the pros and cons of Maximus' plan. Silas, you are here.
Maximus.
Hey, you really are bold. Silas couldn't help but sigh at the problem that Maximus had created.
Why?
Don't you know that you are the reason this world's danger skyrocketed? Really?
Anyway, I'm sure I can pass this trial, so it doesn't matter.
Maximus shrugged.
That seems to be right.
Silas couldn't help but nod. He could see that Maximus didn't seem to have given up and had great confidence in his heart.
By the way, what are you doing here?
Of course, to help you. Ha ha ha, it seems like my recruitment notice caught a big fish.
Oh, don't be too happy.
Silas then explained to him that he was already the core of this world. As long as he recruited more people, the mutation of the Tier 7 monster would be shortened.
So that's it?
No wonder, based on the Wanderer's estimate, there is only about 60 years before the Tier 7 monster appears. Now you know, so stop the recruitment already, Silas persuaded.
No, how can I?
Anyway, based on estimates, I can recruit up to 10,000 people and it will only shorten the evolution of the Tier 7 monster to 70 years.
This way, I have 20 years more.
It should be more than enough.
You're crazy.
What use can these people be? It will just lower your chances. Silas persuaded. Of course, they will be my future members. Furthermore, after they pass, they will have special student status, which will be a bargain. Seeing that he could not persuade him, Silas sighed. All right, just be sure to pass this trial. As time passed, various people joined Maximus' guild after noticing that something was wrong in the world. Unfortunately, Maximus' recruitment had become more strict, leaving people in despair. They could only do their best or quit. However, as the Shadowhunters Guild grew, so did the danger. Initially, only Tier 4 monsters chased them. But now, there were Tier 5 monsters, which intensified their despair. 10 years later, Maximus had recruited 10,000 people. As for the rest, they either quit or died. On top of a platform, Maximus overlooked the people busy with their work. Maximus and his group no longer traveled to collect materials, as they could send collection ships all over the world. After 10 years, the whole continent where he was had returned to its old prosperous state. There were no monsters, instead, mechanical structures covered the land. The continent had literally become a workshop solely to create a world-destroying weapon. Maximus also tried to eliminate all the monsters, but it was not an easy task. Whether underground or under the ocean, Maximus had no time to eliminate them one by one. Maximus, you should reduce the size of the guild, Silas suggested.
See?
We haven't even completed 1/4 of the bomb, Silas, standing next to him, persuaded. Indeed, even in these 10 years when they hardly slept and ate, they had only completed 1/4 of the world-destroying weapon. With 10,000 members their time is shortened, now they only have 10 years left.
Not possible. What do you think I've been doing in these past couple of years?
Maximus smiled confidently. Giving orders and having fun? Silas didn't know what to say. He usually didn't see Maximus much since he was always locked in his room. Fortunately, Maximus was the leader, so the others weren't too dissatisfied.
What do you think is missing to finish our project?
Maximus didn't get angry but asked.
Of course, it's manpower.
The materials are more than enough with all the collection ships going around the world. As for the technicalities, with your blueprint, which even amazed me, it's more than enough. There's only manpower left. Unfortunately, the robots are too clumsy and stupid. They can't handle anything delicate. Silas ranted, also venting his accumulated stress from working day and night nonstop.
That's right.
Do you have a solution? Silas asked, seeing Maximus' confidence.
Here, look at this.
Maximus tossed a bottle containing tiny metal particles that looked like scrap metal shavings.
What is this?
Silas muttered as he opened the bottle and examined its contents.
Huh?
Silas changed his expression and took out a small magnifying device.
What is this?
Nanobots? Silas looked at him confused. Indeed, nanobots were one of the solutions. But without magic or spiritual power to accurately control and command them, they were useless.
What do you think?
It's useless, Silas shook his head. If it were useful, Silas would have already manufactured them.
Ha ha ha, I knew you would say that.
Say hello, Wanderer. Hello, Sir Silas. Silas seemed to have thought of something when Maximus mentioned Wanderer.
Impossible.
An ordinary artificial intelligence doesn't have enough computing power. It's only been 10 years, there hasn't been enough time to upgrade artificial intelligence to that level, Silas said in disbelief. If it were merely about controlling the nanobots, he wouldn't doubt it. But seeing Maximus' confident smile, he knew it was not simple. What they were creating was a Tier 6 world-destroying bomb made from Tier 5 materials. This was a cross-level task that couldn't be accomplished solely through calculations. Even the other members here barely grasped it, needing Maximus and Silas to intervene from time to time. Of course, I know, Maximus rolled his eyes. Wanderer isn't enough to fill the manpower gap. Well, it's mostly Silas, as Maximus was busy with other things. Silas mastered all the material here through the information in the database. Of course, I know, Maximus rolled his eyes. Wanderer isn't enough to fill the manpower gap. Why do you think we still lack manpower despite having 10,000 people? It's because we're ordinary. Without magi, Silas seemed to have thought of something. You mean that artificial intelligence of yours can help us control the nanobots? TSK, you really are a genius, you caught on quickly.
How did you do that?
Silas wondered. Silas didn't know how to connect someone's consciousness to something without using mana or spirit, so he was curious. It's biology. With Wanderer, it can process the minute changes in people's brainwaves, allowing them to control these nanobots. With it, we wouldn't have limitations anymore. As long as there are enough nanobots and sufficient brain power, our work will be 100 to 1,000 times faster, Maximus said excitedly. This was what he had been busy with for the past 10 years, almost passing all the work to Silas. Biology? It's indeed possible, Silas was stunned. He hadn't studied much biology. After all, the mechanical profession mainly revolved around magic and mechanical items. Moreover, even if he studied the combination of the two, only mortals could benefit from them. More importantly, despite his millions of years of studying, it still wasn't nearly enough for him to master one type of knowledge. Silas could only blame his lack of preparedness, underestimating the power of biology in this type of world. Who could have known that this world didn't have mana nor even spirit power? After all, there were different golden trials every time, there were only a few of them without mana and spirit power.
How is it?
Phenomenal. With this, passing this trial will be a breeze. Then cheers to our victory in advance, Maximus said, taking out a bottle of wine from a compartment. Silas poured himself a glass and clinked it with Maximus.
Cheers.